The roar of the crowd may last only seconds, but the pressure that follows a champion can echo for months, sometimes years. Tonight, all eyes turn to a young tennis star walking back onto a court where history already bears her name, carrying not just a racket but expectations heavy enough to shape careers. In the glittering lights of Dubai, where titles are defended and legacies quietly tested, an 18-year-old athlete arrives with a surprising source of strength, not from within the tennis world, but from hours spent listening to interviews of a basketball legend. It is a reminder that in modern sport, inspiration crosses boundaries, and mental endurance can be as decisive as physical skill. Her presence in the tournament this season is marked by a rare combination of achievement and vulnerability. Having claimed her first major milestone title the previous year, she returns not as an underdog, but as a contender with points to protect and reputation to uphold. Ranking mathematics in professional tennis are unforgiving. A single early exit can ripple through standings with immediate consequences. Analysts note that defending a title is often psychologically tougher than winning it for the first time, because victory transforms into obligation, and every match becomes a silent comparison to past success, rather than a fresh opportunity. The unusual start to her campaign this year adds another layer of complexity. Advancing into the later rounds without striking a ball is statistically beneficial, yet emotionally disorienting. Athletes are creatures of rhythm, and competitive timing is often sharpened through early round matches. Bypassing that stage can feel like being propelled forward without rehearsal. Observers suggest that while rest preserves energy, it can also delay the mental calibration players rely on to settle nerves and adapt to court conditions. In elite tournaments, even slight disruptions to routine can alter performance outcomes. Beyond the technicalities of draws and rankings lies a deeper narrative centered on mindset. The young player has openly spoken about the mental strain of sustaining excellence, emphasizing that confidence is not a constant state but a fragile balance requiring deliberate effort. She describes moments when the ball does not respond as expected, when familiar shots misfire, and when internal dialogue becomes louder than the cheers outside. Sports psychologists often highlight this phase as the true battleground of professional competition, the space where belief must be consciously rebuilt rather than assumed. Her reference to listening to interviews from a global basketball icon reveals a modern athlete's approach to growth. Inspiration today is no longer confined within a single sport. Lessons on resilience, preparation, and leadership travel freely across disciplines. By absorbing insights from another arena, she demonstrates an understanding that mental frameworks can be universal even when physical skills differ. Analysts interpret this as a sign of maturity, suggesting that cross-sport learning may become increasingly common among emerging athletes seeking broader perspectives on performance and longevity. At the same time, rivalries are beginning to define this phase of her career. Encounters with fellow young contenders have introduced unpredictability into early season tournaments, reminding audiences that emerging talent often arrives in clusters rather than isolation. These matchups carry energy beyond rankings. They symbolize generational shifts and the gradual reshaping of competitive hierarchies. Each meeting becomes both a contest and a preview of what the sport might look like in the coming decade, where consistency and adaptability will likely outweigh singular bursts of brilliance. Statistically, her rise has been swift and impressive, marked by consecutive victories that propelled her into the top tier of global standings. Yet statistics alone do not capture the nuance of transition from promising newcomer to established contender. The difference lies in expectations, from opponents who study her patterns more closely, from fans who anticipate repeat performances, and from sponsors who align their narratives with her trajectory. This shift transforms every serve and return into a statement not just about the match, but about sustained credibility. What makes her journey particularly compelling is the candidness with which she discusses struggle. Rather than presenting an image of effortless dominance, she acknowledges the discomfort of imperfection and the discipline required to remain mentally present during off days. This transparency resonates with a broader audience, bridging the gap between elite sport and everyday experience. Viewers recognize that excellence is not a smooth ascent, but a sequence of adjustments, recalibrations, and renewed commitments to focus when circumstances resist control. The Dubai stage itself amplifies these themes. Known for its blend of luxury and fierce competition, the tournament often serves as a barometer for the season ahead. Success here can establish momentum, while setbacks can trigger strategic reassessment. Commentators emphasize that court conditions, crowd dynamics, and scheduling intricacies all contribute to outcomes that statistics cannot fully predict. In such an environment, mental clarity becomes an invisible yet decisive factor, shaping split-second decisions that determine rallies and ultimately matches. As the tournament progresses, the broader narrative extends beyond a single athlete's defense of a title. It reflects the evolving nature of modern tennis, where youth rises quickly, inspiration is global, and mental endurance stands alongside physical conditioning as a pillar of success. For a player defending a major title, such rivalries carry additional weight, signaling to the sport that dominance is contested, not given, and that every opponent represents a potential challenge to maintaining status at the top. Dubai itself presents unique challenges that extend beyond opponent and ranking concerns. The desert climate, court surfaces, and tournament scheduling can subtly influence player performance. Experienced athletes know that success is often contingent on fine adjustments, from timing footwork to calibrating ball spin under specific humidity and temperature conditions. These environmental factors, combined with the psychological pressure of defending a title, create a dynamic landscape where the margin for error is extremely small. In this context, Andreeva's emphasis on maintaining belief even during imperfect performances is not abstract advice but a practical necessity. Analysts highlight that the ability to reset mentally after each point or game can determine whether a player advances or faces an unexpected exit, making psychological strategy as critical as technical skill in championship tennis. The early round circumstances of her campaign, advancing without playing due to withdrawals and byes, further test her readiness. While some athletes might benefit physically from extra rest, the lack of actual match play can disrupt rhythm and delay adaptation to competitive intensity. The absence of a first-round contest requires mental rehearsal and focus, forcing the athlete to simulate match conditions internally. Experts in performance psychology emphasize that visualization, concentration drills, and mental rehearsal become vital in such situations. By consciously preparing for the unpredictability of live competition, Andreeva is applying principles that bridge physical readiness and cognitive resilience, showcasing how elite athletes manage both dimensions in parallel to maintain an edge. Finally, her candid acknowledgement of the difficulties inherent in defending a high-stakes title underscores the evolving nature of professionalism in sports. Success at this level demands consistency, adaptability, and a keen understanding of one's own psychological patterns. Maintaining composure when execution falters, when expectations loom large, and when opponents exploit even minor weaknesses requires not only skill but deep self-awareness. Her approach demonstrates that in contemporary tennis, as in many competitive arenas, mastery is not measured solely by outcomes but by the capacity to navigate complexity under pressure. The combination of inspiration drawn from other sports, deliberate mental preparation, and strategic engagement with rivals signals a holistic model of performance that could define a new generation of champions. Through this lens, the Dubai title defense becomes more than a tournament. It becomes a study in resilience, strategy, and the art of sustaining excellence under the unforgiving spotlight of professional sport.